I want to show you in this video how you can finally find your winning ad without expensive tracking tools. I don't want to make a big secret out of it. In the end, it's all about UTM parameters. Strangely enough, very few people are familiar with this name. In the end, you can find them everywhere. To get started really simply, even with this Canva link, we have UTM parameters attached by default. It's just to measure campaigns using simple tools like Shopify or Google Analytics, because there isn't a Facebook pixel or a TikTok pixel for everything. And for that, you would use something like Google Analytics, and Google Analytics can track these UTM parameters. And the reason for that is that you can track normally when you don't have a pixel. So now the background is, of course, important. You probably have a brand and you're selling your products online with paid advertising. Now you often see, for example, Shopify under conversion details, there is simply nothing there. Or that maybe it only shows Facebook or only Instagram, but nothing else. And now here comes the solution, where I'll show you how you don't have to spend any more money to use an extra tracking tool, for example. Because I've already tried tracking tools, and usually they only use UTM parameters as well. These are then read out by a JavaScript tool and presented to you separately for €40 a month. But of course, they don't contribute to your conversions or the conversion optimization of Facebook itself. That's why you should definitely use UTM tracking from Facebook. That usually also flows into the Metapixel 40, and you finally find your winning ads. So now that we know that these UTM parameters are indeed, they seem to be everywhere, and you see them if you actually pay attention to them. And for example, here we also have the UTM parameters. Here you just need the equal sign and basically the value, because UTM parameters are ultimately just URL parameters. Now the big question is, how do you apply them? So exactly when you go to a website, for example to ours, you see up here, of course, everything looks normal, the UTM parameters, and these are then also transferred to Calendly, for example. You can see that at the very bottom left in the corner, there's our Calendly link, and behind it are the UTM parameters. The reason for this is that we then know where the people are coming from, who want to book an appointment with us and talk to us. Now let's go into meta ads, and I'll show you how to basically set up these UTM parameters. The UTM parameters. We always set them up at the ad level. I've now opened our example campaign here. And there we have two different ad groups in there. And inside that is the post itself. That means we're now going into our ad and then find here in the URL parameters completely normal other ones below. URL parameters are usually at the very bottom. In catalog ads, it sometimes looks a bit different, and that's where you find these UTM parameters. So, and you can assign them yourself. Let me show you. Build, write. Normally it looks like this. Key 1 equals value 1 and key 2 equals value 2. You can put all sorts of things in there. But of course we do that in this case, put in the UTM parameters because it's just standardized. And then we go through build, a URL, parameters. And then we have, for example, the first campaign, source. For example, you could take that now, site, source name. Then campaign, medium. You could take that now. So it's easier because what we're doing here isn't necessarily compliant with the rules. So what does it mean to be compliant with the rules? So it's not necessarily standardized. You can ultimately take just about anything. Otherwise, Facebook wouldn't suggest these dynamic parameters to you, because ultimately that's how it is. That these are here. Yes, all parameters, even in the URLs, and that's exactly how UTM parameters work. And here we are now selecting basically which parameters would get which values. You could also say that we want to, for the UTM source, this here, so campaign source, means the same as UTM source. We can basically say that we just want to use meta for that. That works too. Here, example items are also displayed that you can then use. So here we can take, for example, site source name, and then for campaign medium, we should use adset.name. For example, then we know which ad set is being used. It's important to note This is the case when you change the names. For example, campaign ad group, so ad set or ad. Then, with the UTM parameters, even if you change them, the very first ones you used the first time will still be used. Accordingly, you can also take ad set here, because that never changes. While the name of your campaign, your ad group, or your ad itself can always change. But I'm a bit particular. I always use adset.name because it's simpler in the end. For campaign name, we obviously take the campaign name, and for campaign content, we can then basically, I would always take normal AD name. Of course, you can also take adset. And here, other people also like to use placement, because then you can see whether it's in the Facebook feed or in the Instagram story or IG story as it says now. That's just the background because it says campaign name here now. You know, this is the campaign, and in the end it's the ad. And if you don't have the right formalities in place, like automatically assigning your ad a name, that also includes the ad group name, then maybe you should replace that placement medium, which isn't super important, with the ad set name. But that's what's cool about this campaign medium via placements. You can see whether it's, for example, with Advantage Plus placements, whether it's through the store or through the feed. And that's the background. Now that we've changed this here, let's click on Apply. And once we've decided on a convention, we generally shouldn't change it. Then you can copy it and easily paste it into another ad. It's that simple. And once you've done that, you just need to click on Publish. And then the new URL parameters come in. It's important to note that this is really super easy for new ads, for existing ads. Unfortunately, the change in URL parameters can cause your ads to be reevaluated and will enter a new learning phase 99% of the time. If it doesn't matter to you at all because you know your ad works, then do it. We do it too. But if you're feeling a bit uncertain, then maybe it's better not to, and really only do it for new campaigns and new ads. Basically, where you don't want to initiate the learning phase again. So, I'll show you again how it looks in Shopify. And exactly, let's dive into that now. So, here's an example of a Shopify order from our store where you can see there are no UTM parameters, and it supposedly shows an organic search result on Google, which definitely wasn't the case. Absolutely not for this person. And visited XY. We generally see that as normal. And now let's take a look at another order that has UTM parameters in it. Yes, exactly. Here we have an order that contains the UTM parameters. So you can find that here under Conversion Overview. Then you click on View Conversion Details. Then this opens up and you can see the different visits of the customer, for example, in Shopify. And now we see the first visit. And here we see the first visit to the store, basically from us, about the campaign with just campaign ID with this, about source. Here is the site source name, so Facebook in this case. Then for the medium, we decided to use placement. And here you can see the Facebook desktop feed. So it apparently was the first time felt on desktop. And in the content, we then see the ad ID at the end. You can also have the ad name in here if you have ad name. And this way, you can see when you analyze the order, where the people are coming from. Of course, you can also go further and check the statistics in Shopify or look at marketing through those two options in the menu. Or you can go through Google Analytics if you have set up the conversions correctly there. And then you can see exactly which ad, where the people are coming from, which platform. If you're set up for omnichannel presence, you can check which platform they're coming from, which ads are performing the best, in what format. Maybe when working with Google in-stream ads, like YouTube in-stream ads, it's best to use 16.9 or 9.16 for the other platforms. And this way, you can distribute your budget better and do even more efficient marketing. I hope I was able to help you with this video. UTM parameters are a must for you. You definitely have to use them. They don't cost you any money. They only bring you added value. So, to do for next time, use UTM parameters. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.